it's Jania and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my most anticipated releases for the second half of the year. We are currently in June, so that means we are going to be having a lot of new book releases come out in the fall, and I just wanted to talk about my most anticipated ones with you guys. And please do not mind my shirt. I did not change my shirt. I'm filming multiple videos in one day, so you might see some videos over the next few weeks with the same shirt, so please forgive me. I don't want to make this intro too long, so I'm going to jump in with the first book, which is Rise to the Sun, written by Leah Johnson, and this comes out July 6th. From what I know about this book follows a girl who just went through a really hard breakup that made her kind of an outsider in her school, so she's looking to turn over a new leaf in the summertime. She ends up attending a festival with her best friend over the weekend and is hoping to kind of have the time of her life and forget about all of the heartbreak that she had just experienced. There she meets another girl, and I believe some falling in love happens. I love it because it's going to be a sapphic romance, which is always super fun, and I am hopefully going to start reading You Should See Me in a Crown, which is also written by this author, but I cannot wait for this book to come out, and again, this releases July 6th. The next book I have to talk about is The Dead and the Dark by Courtney Gould, and this comes out August 3rd. This, I believe, is a debut thriller of some sort. It basically follows this town where women are kind of disappearing, and there's like this ghost hunter show that's run by, I think, teenagers, and they have to figure out what is happening to these women. It sounds really interesting. I don't really want to know much more than that. If this is a mystery thriller, I don't really like to know much about those types of books, but I am really looking forward to this, and the cover is just so beautiful, so I have high hopes for this one, and again, this releases August 3rd. The next book I have to talk about is The City Beautiful by Aiden Polydoros, and I believe this releases September 7th. From what I've heard about this novel, this is a Jewish queer historical thriller, and all of those things sound wonderful, and I don't really want to know much about it. This is set in Chicago 1893, and knowing what I know from that time period, this is the time period where the World Great Fair was going on and there was a killer running around the Chicago area of that time, but I don't think it has to do with that killer, but just the eeriness that time period invokes is so intriguing, and I just cannot wait. I really want more historical thrillers. I have not read like a historical thriller yet, so I'm really looking forward to it, mixing one of my favorite genres with a genre that I don't normally read from, and I'm really looking forward to this, and the cover is just like really dark and really interesting, and I'm all here for it. This releases September 7th. The next book is one of my most anticipated out of this list, and it is White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. This comes out September 14th, and I believe it is a fantasy, or it's like her fantasy debut, and that just sounds so amazing. I think it's supposed to be like a mix of Get Out with The Haunting of Hill House, and well, I guess then it's not a fantasy, it's more of like a psychological thriller, which she loves to write. Grown is a psychological thriller, so is Monday's Not Coming, so I cannot wait. I love her writing just so much, and she's so talented, and I feel like just so underrated. I feel like people don't talk about her enough, so I'm just so really excited to just kind of jump into this, and I love the cover. It's so wonderful. And again, I don't want to like say what this is about just because it is a psychological thriller. I don't think you should go into it with much detail other than what I have already told you. I know this has to do with ghosts and haunted houses, so just keep that in mind. The next book I have to talk about is Floral Time by Shayna Miles. I think that's how you pronounce it. And this book comes out September 28th. And first of all, the cover is beautiful. It basically follows these two teenagers who are reliving their love story through different timelines and different lifetimes as well, which sounds so wonderful. It's not exactly like time traveling, but it does give me very much like Time Traveler's Wife vibes, which is just so intriguing. And again, the cover is so beautiful, and it's a romance obviously, so I'm already like kind of intrigued by it, and I am so looking forward to reading this. It sounds like a lot more complex than regular contemporary and regular romance, which is always a plus. I'm always looking for more complexity, more depth. I really want that because I feel like I'm missing that from contemporary, so I really want some of that in my life, and I'm so looking forward to this. Again, this comes out September 28th. The next book I have to talk about, we are getting into some of the October releases, and the first of which is Daughters of a Dead Empire by Carolyn Tara O'Neill. I believe this is a Russian historical fantasy of some sort. We follow a girl named Anna who is running for her life because her family has just been massacred, and she is trying to get to the Tsarist army so she can be safe. But in order to do this, she has to convince somebody to smuggle her across the border. It turns out that this person that is trying to smuggle her over is actually a communist, and because of this, Anna kind of has to hide her identity because she's obviously fleeing from a communist USSR. It just sounds crazy and so much fun. I really like learning about war history, especially like Cold War history. And even though this is not set during like the Cold War times, Russian history is just really intriguing, especially like 19th and 20th century Russian history. So I'm really looking forward to that aspect of it, and just the idea of like having to hide your identity and just the high intensity of like the whole situation just sounds like it's going to be action-packed and very fast-paced, and that's kind of what I'm expecting from this. So I'm very looking forward to reading this, as well as the rest of the books that I'm going to talk about. And again, this book I believe releases October 26th. The next book I'm going to talk about is in fact my most anticipated release of this coming fall, and that is going to be Kingdom of the Cursed by Carrie Maniscalco, the second book in the Kingdom of the Wicked series. I have not read the first book. I have this book on pre-order. I'm not going to tell you what it's about so I don't spoil myself, but just know that this book comes out October 26th, and I'm assuming it's going to take off where the first book left off. But the first book basically follows two sisters who are witches and have to hide their identity, Amelia and Victoria ends up dead in a very brutal way, and Amelia is tasked with trying to find out what happened to her sister, and she invokes the help of one of the 7 princes of hell. His name is Wrath, and together they kind of have to find out what happened to Victoria and if it has something to do with the fact that they are witches. It sounds so amazing. I am so ready to get into it. I have it like right over here. I don't know what I'm waiting for. I think I'm just waiting for the second book so I can like read it back to back. Nevertheless, very excited for this one, and again, it releases October 26th. We are going to be getting into the 2 November releases. So the first of which is You've Reached Sam, which releases November 2nd. This is by Dustin Chow. I believe that's how you pronounce it. If not, please let me know the correct pronunciation. First of all, this cover is absolutely stunning. It is so beautiful, and it basically follows this girl named Julia who has her whole life planned out. She knows exactly what college she's going to, she knows exactly what career she's going to have, and she's going to do all of this with her boyfriend Sam. But unfortunately, Sam ends up passing away. Julia tries to cope by kind of throwing away all of his things and forgetting about how he died and forgetting about her life with him. But when she finds out that Sam has left a series of messages on her phone, it kind of brings back all of these old feelings of heartbreak and pain, and kind of really teaches her how to work through those as well as moving on the way that Sam really hoped for her. I know this is going to be so tragic and so hard to work through and read. It sounds like it's going to be a very moving and very tragic novel, and I don't mind having a cry or two, so I am really looking forward to reading this. And again, it releases November 2nd, and again, cover is just stunning. So the next release, or the second to last release I'm going to be talking about, is one that I have not even heard of until I was doing research for this video, and that is called Starling. And I do not know how to pronounce the author's last name, so I'm not even going to try, but I will put her name right here so you guys can like see it up close. This releases November 9th, and the only thing I know about this book, and the only thing I want to know, is that it is Edward Scissorhands meets When the Moon Was Ours. I need to explain this to you guys. So Edward Scissorhands is one of my favorite movies from my childhood. I love it so much. I grew up watching that movie. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. And When the Moon Was Ours was written by one of my favorite authors of all time. I have the book right here. So it's basically a mix of this book as well as Edward Scissorhands, and that just sounds so mind-bending and so beautiful and lyrical, and I don't want to know anything about it other than just that fact. Oh, I just cannot wait. I'm so happy just talking about it because I never ever thought I would hear like those two things together. Just makes me so happy. So again, this book releases November 9th. Is Here's to Us, written by Adam Silvera and Becky Albertalli. This is the sequel to What If It's Us, which I read a long time ago, and I liked it. I didn't like not love it, but now that there's a sequel coming out, I'm a little bit intrigued. So I think I'm going to reread What If It's Us and then pick this up because it just sounds really interesting. This book releases December 28th, and I'm not really too sure what it's about. I know that it was just written by the same authors. I don't know if it's like a direct sequel or if it's a companion, but we'll find out when I read it. So yeah, that is the last book that I want to talk about, and again, this releases December 28th. So those are all of the books that I am highly anticipating for this fall season and winter, so I'm so excited to get to all of those. Hopefully I can read some of these before the year is over, but again, who knows. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, and comment so you can check out some of my other content. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I will see you guys next week. Mwah.